Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Neo-Spacian Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for post Savage Strike. I've been actually very excited for this support for the deck for quite some time now. We've got the rest of the support that makes the Elemental Hero Neo-Spacian deck more of a fusion-based deck, being able to use Neos and the Neo-Spacians for more than just contact fusing, now having a new fusion spell card as well as some new monsters in the extra deck to use with them. Completely changes the deck and a really interesting take on it for sure. I'm surprised it took this long for us to receive support like this, but I think it really does change the deck for the better. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, I've decided to stick with 3 Elemental Hero Neos, mostly for the fact that you can rely on this card more than just for the contact fuse now being required for the fusion summon of your fusion monsters. Changes the whole play for this card, allowing us to run more fusion-based cards, also to support the Neo-Spacian deck, but overall just, a good card and needed for all of your fusion plays. I also run 3 Elemental Hero Prisma, just one that can copy the name of any of the cards from the extra deck by revealing the fusion monster and then sending the other ones to the graveyard to make use of. So very, very helpful in that sense for sure. Just having the name copy, but being able to set up your graveyard for some other plays, including Miracle Fusion, definitely does help out with the deck for sure. And then also we've had this card for a little while now, but it was officially released in Savage Strike. Neo-Space Connector. When it is normal summon, you can special summon 1 Neo-Spacian monster or 1 Elemental Hero Neos from your hand or deck in defense. You contribute this card, then target 1 Neo-Spacian monster or 1 Elemental Hero Neos in your graveyard, special summon it in defense. You can only use each effect of Neo-Space Connector once per turn. But if you get out Neos and you have your fusion options available to you, you can go into Neos Knight now as well, which I've always loved this card. We've had it for quite some time, and we've also got the other fusion options available to us now if you have the right requirements for the cards in your hand. Also, Neo-Space Connector is just great setup, nonetheless, depending on what play you want to go for. And I also run 2 Honest Neos, just a very good hand trap with all the different elemental heroes we run in the extra deck, being able to give them a 2,500 attack point boost. You really get rid of a lot of problem monsters your opponent may have, just being able to swing over them solely with strong attack power. And moving on now to the Neo-Spacians, I run 2 Air Hummingbird. Just I wanted to find the good ratio again to run for numbers in the deck Neo-Spacian wise. I find the Air Hummingbird, just with the life point gain, definitely does help. We need an Air Neos reprint. Sadly, don't have one in the extra deck, but I'll show what card I would take out for Air Neos. I'm hoping in Dual Power, being one of Jaden's cards, we see a reprint. I would love to have that for sure, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see if that does become a reality or not. Also running 2 Grand Mole, just a very, very helpful card, being able to bounce your opponent's cards, but also needed for a good amount of the contact fusions in the deck, including the new Nebula Neos, so having that taken care of as well, along with Dark Panther. 2 of this in the deck. I know you can special summon these cards out with Neo-Space Connector, but you can also send them with Prisma. So just having a good amount of Neo-Spacians to run in the deck, consistent wise, definitely does help for sure with your plays, and also being the fact that Elemental Hero Cosmos Neos requires 3 Neo-Spacian monsters with different attributes. You want to run a good different amounted variety in the deck. I also run 1 Flare Scarab and 1 Neo-Spacian Aqua Dolphin, just as the last one-ofs for the deck. If you wanted to add in Glowmoss as well, you can maybe take out 1 of the Dark Panthers or 1 of the Hummingbirds. I do like the 2 Grand Neos just because it's one of the most usable ones in the deck, but I wanted to keep, like I said, a good variety of all the different ones in the deck for sure. And that is it for the monster lineup. Tried to stick as pure to the Neo-Space deck as I could as possible. But for the spells, we're running 3 of the new Neos Fusion. With this one, you special summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck. That lists exactly 2 monsters as material, including Elemental Hero Neos, by sending those monsters from your hand, deck, or field, ignoring its summoning conditions. So you have plenty of options available to you with this card being able to send from the deck as well. And for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters. If a fusion monster you control that lists Elemental Hero Neos as material would be destroyed by battle or card effects, or shuffled into the extra deck by its own effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So being able to rely on this as that extra protection made me choose it over Neo-Space in the deck overall, just as that needed protection. Plus, I really do think it's beneficial with some of the bigger cards you go into, like example Nebula Neos when they're shuffled back, to really take care of a lot of problem cards you could have on your opponent's side of the field. And I still also run 3 Miracle Contact. You shuffle into the deck from your hand, field, or graveyard fusion material monsters that are listed on an Elemental Hero fusion monster that lists Elemental Neos as fusion material, then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So just having the option to go into the contact fuse with Miracle Contact is very, very helpful for sure. Being able to also set up your graveyard with cards like Neos Fusion and then use Miracle Contact later on. Really do like that key aspect for the deck. And I also run 3 Convert Contact, run plenty of Neo-Spacians to get this draw power off. You have to control no monsters to send 2 Neo-Spacian monsters, 1 from your hand and 1 from your deck to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. So also very good just to be able to mill through those Neo-Spacians, not having to, draw into them obviously with this card. So very helpful for that draw power. And I also run 1 Contact Gate. This card is just helpful for banish 2 Neo-Spacian monsters with different names from your graveyard, special summon 2 Neo-Spacian monsters with different names from your hand, deck, and or graveyard. Also for the rest of this turn, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for fusion monsters. And if a face-up fusion monster that lists Elemental Hero Neos as material returns from the field to the extra deck, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one of your banished Neo-Spacian monsters. You only activate 1 Contact Gate per turn. I ran it down to 1 just for the fact that it is kind of a situational card, but the setup is good nonetheless, being able to grab the Neo-Spacians you want preferably for your bigger contact fusion plays. If you wanted to run more of this, maybe suggest dropping Miracle Contact down to 2, but I do like it at the 1 number in the deck for sure myself. And then I also run the 1 Miracle Fusion. This is just very helpful for your bigger plays for your fusion summoning. So when you can make it happen, it really does help out for sure. And I also run 2 Oversoul. Now this one with the ban list and Soul Charge not being a thing anymore, just having Neos in the graveyard faster than being able to special summon it back easier for your contact plays, I think Oversoul really does come in handy. I also run 1 Super Polymerization with some of the requirements for your monsters. There will be a lot of times when your opponent will have a warrior monster or just some of your other fusion plays that you can go into with the new Elemental Hero Brave Neos as well. This card definitely does help out the deck in that regard for sure. And also the fact that your opponent can activate cards in response is another great thing about it for sure. And then I also run 1 Monster Reborn. This card just definitely does help for your play tactics, being able to get back monsters for your plays. You might be 1 play short if you have Oversoul and you get Neos out, but that 1 more monster for a contact fusion or just a normal fusion if you have any of the fusion spells definitely can be good for a game-winning play. And I also run 1 Reinforcements of the Army. You can go for Prisma, but most of the time I do like to grab a Neo-Space Connector with this card, since it does help out for a good number of your plays. And lastly, for the spells, 2 Called by the Grave, just very helpful for taking care of hand traps that you may go up against with this deck. And for the traps, I'm running 3 of the new Next card. I really do like this card. You special summon any number of monsters with different names from your hand and or graveyard in defense that are all Neo-Spacian monsters or Elemental Hero Neos, but negate their effects. And as long as you control any of those special summon monsters face up, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. You can only activate 1 Next per turn. If you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. So the main reason I run 3 of this is because of the fact that you can activate it from your hand and get easy special summons from your hand and or graveyard. If you're stuck with Neos in your hand but plenty of Neo-Spacians in the graveyard, this card definitely does come in handy. It really overall changed the speed you can use for the deck and all your different plays. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra. I run 2 Elemental Hero Brave Neos. You need an Elemental Hero Neos and 1 level 4 lower effect monsters, which all the Neo-Spacians and all a good number of the other monsters in the deck meet this requirement. It must be fusion summoned, and it gains 100 attack for each Neo-Spacian and hero monster in your graveyard. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand. That specifically lists the card Elemental Hero Neos in its tech. Now, this is one of the cards I go into the most with this deck just because it's one of the easiest ones to fusion summon out. It's one of the most reliable power-wise, one of the most consistent, being able to add anything that specifies, Elemental Hero Neos in its text, meaning I have plenty of other plays to go for. A great fusion overall was definitely what the deck was asking for sure. And I also run 1 of the new Elemental Hero Cosmo Neos. You need Elemental Hero Neos and 3 Neo-Spacian monsters with different attributes. It must first be special summoned from your extra deck by shuffling the above cards you control. So it is a contact fusion, unlike Brave Neos, which was a fusion one. And if this card is special summoned from the extra deck, you can activate this effect. For the rest of this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards. Also, cards your opponent control cannot activate their effects. And your opponent cannot activate cards or effects, monsters in its effects activation. And once per turn during the end phase, shuffle this card into the extra deck. And if you do, destroy all cards your opponent controls. This one really locks down your opponent with 3,500 attack. Just being a powerhouse for sure if you can get into it. And with all the different cards like Next being available to you now for those easy special summons, it makes contact fusing that much easier. But the fact that it goes back into the extra deck after the contact fuse is the only reason I run 1 of it, because if you do want to make it again, more than likely it's going to return to the extra deck for you just to reuse over again. And I also run 1 Elemental Hero Neos Knight. I just like this option available to me when I need it. Most of the time I do go into Brave Neos, but this card still overall does come through for me at times. And especially in the fact, like when I open up some of the bigger monsters, like if I have Honest Neos and Neos in my hand, to go in for a fusion. And then for some of the other contact fusion monsters, 1 Elemental Hero Dark Neos, 1 Aqua Neos, 1 Flare Neos, 1 Grand Neos, and I also run, for the bigger ones, 1 Elemental Hero Nebula Neos, still my favorite of the bigger ones for sure. 1 Elemental Hero Storm Neos. I don't go into this one as often, so if I did have Air Neos, I'd more than likely take this card out for Air Neos. Also, 1 Magma Neos. This one definitely does come in handy for the all cards you control power boost. And then for 1 more generic, I run 1 Elemental Hero The Shining with Miracle Fusion. Definitely do like this card. You run plenty of light monsters and Elemental Hero monsters, so very easy to fusion summon this card out as well. And then for the Link monsters, just a small little Link monster lineup. I run 1 Extra Hero Wonder Driver. Comes up sometimes to play this card. The recycle power can help, but just a Link option for sure that comes in handy. And I also run 1 Underclock Taker and 1 Landfornicus. I'd probably end up going to these ones a little more just for the more generic plays with the Neo-Spacians, and then Underclock just being able to reduce my opponent's attack and then hit for big numbers with my Neo-Spacians. Definitely does help for sure. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I was definitely happy to finally send out this deck. I've been waiting so long for the update with all the new cards, and finally glad that it is finally done. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.